Good morning, everyone. Let's make sure I am live here. Just give me a second. I'm going live on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. So I'm just tinkering with my Instagram a bit. Give me a second. Let's make sure. I rarely go live on Instagram. So, okay, I'm live now. Hi, everyone. I'm going to just wait for some people to tune in. Happy Wednesday to everyone. I hope your 2021 is going great so far. My name is Ayesha Chidolue. Hi, Samtodoku. Nice to have you join us. Say hi in the comments. If you're on Facebook, Instagram, say hi. Tell me where you're tuned in from. I hope your week is going greatly. For those of you that don't know me, or this is your first time tuning in live, my name is Ayesha Chidolue. I'm an immigration attorney. Well, I'm an immigration and trademark attorney, but today's live is really about immigration law. I'm based out of Orlando, Florida, but I represent clients all over the United States. We have a Georgia office as well. So it doesn't really matter what state you're in. We can help you with your immigration matter as long as it pertains to family and you want to immigrate to the United States. So you guys feel free to share this live so that because I'm going to be covering some good stuff. Also you can share it on Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, so other people can tune in. Okay, so today I want to talk about get the bill, the Biden bill out of the way, and then I just want to talk about a conditional green card and how that's different from a permanent green card, and anything that concerns that. So I got a hold of Biden's immigration bill, and here's what I would say. Basically, it's green cards for everybody if this should pass. So the first thing I would say is this: this is not a law. So I do not want, anybody to take from this that I'm going to stop what I'm doing and just wait for Biden's immigration bill to pass, because a bill takes time to pass and it could be broken down in pieces. So even as of today, Biden had said he's okay taking them in small chunks or small pieces. Just let's get the ball rolling on immigration reform. So for all we know, it could take months. For all we know, it could take years. So if you qualify for something now, you should still be filing. So if you qualify to file based on marriage, you should still be filing right now. And if you qualify based on your children or your parents, you should be filing now. And if you're a self-petitioner because you have a spouse that's abusive, you should be filing now. Only because we don't know what is going to pass in this rule. It is wonderful in theory, and if it passes, it's amazing. It will be amazing. But like every other law or every other rule, there are two sides or two majority parties that have to go through this, have to argue about it, and decide what is not going to work. So let me talk about them real quickly. I talked about it last week, but I'm just going to delve in a little bit further. So, of course, the first thing is that, Biden no longer wants immigrants to be referred to as aliens because it's inhumane. They're not aliens, they're human beings. So he wants them to start being referred to as non-citizens, okay? So, I talked a little bit about the pathway last week, about the roadmap. So the idea is that if you've been here as of January 1st, 2021, let me repeat again, this is not law. This is just a proposal. We don't know if it's going to pass, if they're going to modify it. If you've been here as of January 1st, 2021, undocumented, there is a path to get to be in a temporary status for 5 years. And in those 5 years, if you pass the criminal check, background check, you're paying your taxes, then you will be eligible to become a green card holder. And then once you become a green card holder, in the next 3 years, if you continue to abide by those same principles, you will then be eligible to become a U.S. citizen. So it is critical that so I kind of want to break that down a little bit, and just try to help you guys prepare if this law should pass. Honestly, like, this is like a unicorn law that if it passes, it will be truly amazing. I wish it would pass, for everybody, to basically get their status. So these are some of the things that you can do now to prepare yourself for it passing. You need to start documenting every single month that you've been in this country. Start piling up papers, documents, receipts. And what do I mean by that? So even though you're not here legally, you want to show that you're paying taxes, right? If you have a Social Security and you're working, pay your taxes. If you have an ITIN number because you don't have a Social Security number, pay your taxes. They want to see that you're a good citizen and that you'll contribute to the United States. So pay your taxes. The second thing is, you want to try to document for each month that you've been here. What are some good ideas for documentation? Good ideas for documentation are like school records. So if you're in school, obviously your classes, your tuition, showing that you took classes this semester and this year or whatever it is, because we don't know what the ultimate rule is going to be, and how much further back they would push it. For all we know, they may say, somebody has been here for 5 years or somebody has been here for 10 years, because remember, again, they're going to break this all up in chunks. So for however long you've been here, you want to just document that. From if you have an I-94, if you got an I-94, that white paper they give you when you come into the country, document it. If you cross the border, but you're working under the table or whatever it is, documented. If you go to church, you give tithes and offering, and they give you like they give you like the thing at the end of the year to show how much. Document that stuff. Doctors, if you go to doctor's visit, save that stuff. Like, just start preparing a folder. Call it your immigration folder. Just save that stuff, because what's typically happens when we have rules like this is that when the rule becomes a law, usually they want to see documentation and not like random people saying, that didn't actually come or weren't actually around during that period, say I was here. So they're going to need proof that you were here. So basically it's similar to like DACA, where you need to show proof that you've been in the country for XYZ amount of time. So that's for that. The 8-year pathway. The other thing is, one of the things we're thinking about doing is eliminating the so-called 3 to 10 year bar. And what is the 3 to 10 year bar? The 3 to 10 year bar is basically if you've been in this country and your visa expires and you then overstay past 6 months. And I'm going to get into all the questions, so please throw all your questions. I promise I'm going to get into them. Hi, Obi. That's my brother tuning in, Digital Footprints. You guys should go follow him on Instagram. He's very creative. He has a lot of lovely art pieces. So I'm giving him a shout out. Anyway, as I was saying, I lost my train of thought. Okay, so the 3 to 10 year bar. So you have a 3-year bar, basically, if you overstay past your I-94 expiration date. So, sometimes people say, oh, I have a 10-year visa, and I'm like, I don't really care how many years visa you have. What they care about is what was stamped on your I-94. So if, let's say, you have a 10-year visa till 2030 and you come into the country in January of 2021, the odds are that you will be stamped for 6 months. So probably till July, my math is terrible, July or June, something like that, so you'll be stamped till then. So your unlawful presence will start counting at that point. Once it hits 6 months, you have a 3-year bar, and a 3-year bar means that you will not be allowed into the US for at least 3 years if you leave the country. If it hits 1 year after that expiration date, you will not be allowed for 10 years. So one of the things that it's proposing is, that it's going to, do away with it. We'll see what happens. And then, of course, they're also doing what we call a no ban act, which means that you cannot prohibit or discriminate people because of their religion, into coming into the United States. And one of the great things they're doing is they're moving the diversity lottery from 55,000 to 80,000, which is quite a jump. For those of you who don't know what a diversity lottery is, it's a great way if you're outside of the United States and your country is one of the countries that participate, to just always try, every year. Always try every year. You never know. My husband personally was a beneficiary of a diversity lottery. So you can definitely luck out, so you never know. And then the other thing here is that if you are in college or if you are a student, or if you're thinking about going to school, one of the things that you want to consider is majoring in a STEM degree. STEM meaning science, technology, engineering, mathematics, any of those things, because the bill is going to make it easier for people in those fields to stay in the United States. So think about, majoring in STEM. If you're already majoring in something else, you might want to switch your major depending on how far it is. And then the other thing is that the bill, it provides dependents of H-1B visa holders with work authorization, and children are prevented from aging out, which is wonderful because, typically if you're over 21, you're aged out, you're out of luck, but now you're able to stay together. Another thing that it proposed is where it will allow a temporary stay for people who have visas that are not available and pending if their I-130 is approved. It doesn't say much else about that, so we'll see how that one, goes, but it's not very clear. That's just all it says. And then somebody asked about, I haven't started taking the questions, but this one just pops out of me that said, what happens, let me tap on that question. This person asked, what happens to those with pending cases? That is something that they're actually reviewing right now. And there's going to be some reviewing being done on Friday about unnecessary delays and cases that are taking ridiculously long. So hopefully it'll be able to push things forward on the 29th. Another thing that they'll be addressing is the public charge rule. Like, this is my prayer, as well as every other immigration lawyer and every other immigrant prayer that's filing based on immediate relative, that they remove this I-944 rule, which is a self-sufficiency test. That's a public charge rule. So, they're definitely reviewing those things. So we'll see what happens with that. Let me see, what else am I missing here? Okay, also then, they're also, another thing is that they're also considering increasing protections for those with VAWA applications, T visa applications, and U visa applications. And they're increasing the cap. There's a yearly cap for U visas from 10,000 to 30,000. So, so there's a lot, there's a lot of things here. So of course, because there's a lot of things with every good thing, there's always somebody that's going to be fighting it. So we ultimately don't know what's going to end up being what becomes law. So while we're waiting, just try to prepare yourself for those things. So let me take some questions before I go into conditional. So let's see. So Lorraine Miller asks, what about bank statements? That is a great question. Yes, bank statements are a great way to document, your time here. And obviously if you're depositing money and, money's going, in and out. So it's just a combination of everything that you have, basically. So somebody asked, how do we pay taxes when I'm not working and I don't have an SSN? If you're not working, you probably don't have taxes to pay. But if you are working, under the table or whatever, and you have an ITIN, which you can get as a citizen or a non-green card holder, you can file taxes. So Portia says, my conditional green card has been extended for 18 months. Good for you. I don't know if you're asking a question, but that's wonderful. And so while, usually the extension, a conditional green card extension happens when you have a pending case. So conditional green cards are taking a really long time for them to process the cases. So they do those 18-month extensions. And if after 18 months they still haven't made a decision, you can usually try and request an additional added stamp on your passport to extend your passport. Let me take some questions real quick on Instagram so that I'm not like neglecting all those people there. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Somebody asked, can I use a 2019 tax transcript to file for adjustment of status? Yes. So you can, when you're doing if you're doing your application right now or before the tax deadline, you can use the 2019 tax transcript. And when you attend your interview, at that point, it's likely that you would have already done 2020. So you can then take your 2020 with you, so that you have the most recent one, and make sure that you meet the income requirements. If you're the one that is sponsoring somebody, if you type in immigration poverty guidelines or I-864 PP, in Google, it will pull it out. And so the poverty guideline basically works based on how many people you claim on your taxes, how many people are basically dependent on you. So if it's you and you have one child and you're filing for somebody else, you'll be looking in the category that says family of 3. Keep in mind that filing a fiance visa, my hair looks so crazy. So filing a fiance visa versus filing a marriage-based visa, the income requirements are different. One requires, the fiance visa requires 100% pass the poverty guideline, and the marriage-based or family-based requires 125%. Somebody asked on Instagram, when going on a VAWA interview, do you take the child or children on the interview as well? No, you don't need to. Somebody says, so it's best to get an ITIN number if the law passes. You should get an ITIN number right now if you're working. Okay, let me move over to Facebook. Let's see. What we have here. So somebody asked, what is the 8-year pathway? When I get off live, you can just rewind this video and you will be able to see. That's one of the first things I talked about. Somebody asked, what if you don't have any health insurance, but your spouse has you as a beneficiary? Rochelle, are you talking about if you're you're filing based on the I-944? Or are you talking about if, oh my goodness, my phone is ringing. Or are you talking about just, as proof of your 8-year pathway? Your husband can have you as his life insurance beneficiary. But if you're talking about proof, that doesn't really show proof because you can be in anywhere in the world and be a benefactor of something. But if you're talking about, proof for the 8-year pathway, the health insurance will be helpful. And there are many brokers or insurance brokers that offer temporary insurance to immigrants. So that's something that you might want to look at. I don't know what happened. Guys, sorry, 1 second. I don't know what happened with my Instagram. Sorry, Instagram folks. I don't know what happened. Somebody called me on Instagram and this, somebody said, what is removal or deportation? Removal is basically an order asking you to leave the United States, if that's what you're asking. Grace says, is there anything for people with conditional green cards? No, nothing for you, at least in this bill. Let's see. What about permanent residence? So permanent residence, that's the ultimate dream, to be a permanent resident. So there's nothing else you need. The rules are that if you're a permanent resident, you can then become a US citizen after 3 years if it's based on marriage or if it's based on a VAWA self-petition. Otherwise, in 5 years, as long as you're paying your taxes, you don't have any back child support, any crime of moral turpitude, you should be able to become a citizen. Okay. Okay. So Rochelle had initially asked, and now her question makes sense, where she says that her spouse is filing for her and she's not currently working, and they're asking for credit scores, health insurance, assets and stuff. I know it's truly horrible. and stressful for most immigrants. And this is the rule that is being presented on the table on the 29th. So once, I listen to it and see what exactly comes of it, I'll definitely bring the news to you guys. In the meantime, what you can do if you don't have any credit scores because you don't have any social security number is that you can list that in your cover letter, that you don't have that, but that at the time of the interview, you provide that to them. So, most likely before the interview, you would have gotten your work permit and possibly your social security number. And at that time, you can run your credit report. There shouldn't be anything in your credit, and then take that with you. Okay. Someone says, what about when you're married for over 3 years and keep giving you extension? I'm not sure what the question is, but if you have been married for over 3 years, when you get your green card, you won't get a temporary green card. You're going to get a permanent green card. Okay, so let me go back to Instagram. Someone says, if the law is passed and God forbids Biden loses the next election and the new president takes over and revokes whatever Biden started, is it going to affect us in any way? I mean, I don't know, so that's truly something I don't know the answer to, because it could very well revoke it. I don't know what rights they would have if people have already received the benefits, because I don't know that you can retroactively do that. But let's think positive here. Biden is not going to lose the next election. Okay, so somebody says, I'm here with a regular visitor visa, but I want to migrate to the United States. How do I go about that? Perfect question. Give my office a call, 407-995-6567, and then we can explore what your options are. I don't know, are you married to somebody? It could be that you have a parent here. It could be that you have children here. It could be that, you're still in status and you can apply for a student visa. So there are many things. Your question has several variables. Okay, and then Digital Footprints on Instagram asks, what happens if I was previously rejected due to incomplete filing or failure to show up for the interview? So if that happens, you can refile as long as you've not been presented with a notice to appear in front of an immigration judge. You can always refile again. Let's see. Somebody says, I lost my last year's tax papers. Can one ask for it to make payments, or has it passed? So if you lose your tax documents, you can actually go on irs.gov and order your tax transcript. So there are two ways to order your tax transcript online. So one way is, it's not online. Well, one is that it'll be instantly delivered to you online. The second way is that it'll be mailed to you. The mail takes a little bit of a longer time. With a pandemic, obviously it's longer. But if you have a credit card, a car loan, or a student loan, you can use either of those numbers to authenticate yourself on irs.gov. And if you then do that, you'll be able to retrieve a couple of years. I want to say it's 5 years. Don't hold me to the fire on this. I think it's about 5 years. You can get up to 5 years of your tax transcripts. So even if you lost it, all is not lost. Let's see what else we've got here. A couple of people have been asking about, conditional green cards. So far, there's nothing, there are no rules for you guys yet as far as the Biden bill. But, I don't know if I would get to it today. I really would have wanted to talk a little bit about conditional green cards because so many people are confused about how it works. So let's see. How long does it take to get your Social Security after your work permit with your VAWA? Social Security can take anywhere from 4 weeks to 6 weeks. So before COVID-19, when Social Security office was opened, not a long time, but now, it's coming from DC, to wherever you are. So we don't really have control of that. You just kind of have to wait for it. Some people also use the option of mailing their stuff, which is risky, and then they'll mail it back to you. So, it's just one of those things where just, being a little bit patient and hopefully you'll get it soon enough. But I would say in my practice, I've seen about 4 to 6 weeks is when most people get their Social Security numbers or cards. Somebody said, I filed the I-751 form with my 7-year-old kids. I received my 18 months extension and nothing for my kids. I would, yours would be one that, I would want to have a consultation with you to see what exactly you filed, to make sure that, you also pay the biometrics for your kids and that your kids are covered. I will tell you though, that I-751, they're immensely and severely delayed on sending receipts. So maybe your kids are coming, and this is assuming that you filed it correctly, but, if I see it, then I can say, okay, you filed for your kids, and maybe yours is on the way. Somebody said, can a green card holder file for a minor child? Yeah, you can file for a minor child. You can even file for somebody that's over 21. The only thing is that if you're a green card holder, whoever you're filing for can't be processed their case in the United States if they're not in status. So they have to be in status to file for it. Someone asked, how do I get an ITN? You can usually get that through IRS, irs.gov, or usually IRS has several third parties that you can try to go get it through. Somebody said on Instagram, when a two-year conditional parent is filing for a child and they submit the I-130, how long does it take to approve? Time, like I mentioned last week, it used to be easy to give you what a reasonable or realistic timeline of processing is. It's just really difficult because there's just so much of a backlog. Immigration has now started using the excuse of, COVID. So I can't really tell you, but I know that it ranges anywhere from 6 weeks to 15 months or even more. So hopefully you're closer to the 6-month mark, and hopefully you get it too. Somebody said, will you consider doing a Clubhouse room whenever you're free to discuss this and similar immigration issues? Honestly, Clubhouse is so overwhelming to me. And I feel like I will just be there and I won't get my work done. And, I'm somebody that during the weekday, I am laser focused on work and meeting with my clients and helping my clients get their work through. It might be something I might consider for the weekend once I play around and see what it's about. But you're not the first person that's told me. So many people have said go to Clubhouse. And for those of you asking what Clubhouse is this new talk forum that has its own platform. You need to be invited to Clubhouse. And I think right now it's only for iPhone users. So let's see what else we have here. I have so many questions and I feel so bad if I don't get to it. So somebody asked, what about children over 21? What about them? What are you asking me about them? Are you asking about filing for a green card for children over 21? Okay, this is Hillary Lowe on Instagram. Yeah, you can file for children over 21. It's just that there's a wait time. So the way immigration looks at children is that if you're under 21, you're considered a child. If you're over 21, you're considered a son or a daughter. I mean, obviously, you know that they're your children, but they consider you a son or a daughter. And once you're a son or a daughter, you move from the processing time of a child to a son or a daughter. Since we're in January, I haven't looked at February's visa bulletin. So every month they release a visa bulletin that tells you what the average processing time is. I believe January was about 6 years. So you can file, but it's just going to take you a little bit of a long time, but you have nothing to lose. You can always still file for them, and just have your case pending, because you never know, because it changes every month. For all you know, before you know it, it could move to 4 years or 2 years. A perfect example is I remember in 2019, when green card holders filed for their children under 21, there was a wait time of about 2 years, and then all of a sudden it changed to 0 wait time that year, and since then it's been 0 wait time. So don't just sit down and say, it's going to take too long, so I'm not going to file. Just put in the application, just because you don't know how quickly things can move or things can change. Now, if you put in the application and another opportunity arises for the person to file or adjust, they can still do that. Okay. Somebody says, can you explain how advanced parole works? Do you have to travel on the dates you give USCIS? No, you do not. Personally, I don't put any dates when I file for my clients, because we don't know when they're going to need to travel. So advanced parole works where, they give you, when you're applying for some kind of adjustment of status, it's advanced parole, basically, for those of you who don't know, means a travel permit. It allows you to travel out of the country. If you have a removal proceeding, or you're not sure that you do, or you've ever been deported, please do not travel out of the country. Please do not. Let me repeat that. Please do not. Call your attorney to make sure that they check your alien number and that you don't have any of all that stuff. Otherwise, if you have nothing else and you're just going through the motion, you can certainly travel whenever you want to. Just keep in mind and be mindful when you travel that you want to be able to come back in enough time should they request additional evidence from you, or should they request an interview, that you're not stuck. In the world of COVID, I hesitate to tell people who are pending and their thing can change in the next couple of months to travel, because you don't know when another border will be closed. We don't know what's going to happen. So just keep it as something that you have as an emergency should you need it, if you don't have to travel. But again, advanced parole allows you to travel. I'm just saying, this is the advice I would give. Someone asked, what is happening with DACA? So one of the things the bill is proposing is immediate green cards for DACA recipients. So that's where they are with the, somebody asked, can you travel with an 18-month extension? Yes. So an 18-month extension is what is given to temporary green card holders when they file for removal of the conditions that are making their green card temporary. The 18 months extension is basically saying you're still a green card holder. It's just that they're giving you the extension of paper. So you can definitely travel. You can definitely travel and work. Yours is different. Like, you're still a green card holder. So, don't be afraid to travel. Okay. So, and for those of you that have missed your questions, I truly apologize. I cannot keep up. How long does it take? Okay, so some of the questions are very repetitive. Somebody's asking, how long does it take to approve an I-130 when you're filing for a child and you have a 2-year conditional green card? I just answered this about maybe 5 minutes ago. So you can definitely go in and check it. Will the new bill allow children over 21 wait in the United States while their case is still pending? So for Suniso, one of the things that the bill is proposing is that they will allow a temporary wait if the I-130 has been approved or something like that. I don't have it off the top of my head. But again, let me remind you guys, for those of you just tuning in, this is a bill. What it just means is this is what we're proposing. Ultimately, the proposal has to be voted on by, Congress, and the bill has to be approved to become law. And typically, with law, what is submitted is not necessarily what passes. Once it gets in there, they will start breaking it down and creating requirements. So once those requirements are broken down, we will know. This could take several months. This could take a year. So in the meantime, while that is happening, do not wait here if you're over 21, because what's going to happen is that they will approve you and you will not be able to adjust status. So if the person is not in the country, just try and stay put where you are. And then once you do your approval, you can consular process and get your green card, because it's truly a nightmare. Like, having an approval, then having to request a waiver of forgiveness for overstaying, waiting several months for that to be approved, and then having to still go back to your home country. So just act like, even though this bill is being proposed, act like what the law is today, because that's what the law is. This is not law yet. Let's see what else we have on Instagram. Oh, somebody says, thank you for always keeping us informed. Oh, you're very welcome. So somebody says, I have a case, this is on Facebook. I have a case where my aunt brought her kid to the US at the age of 18 years old. Her kid has autism. How can she file for her kid's citizenship? Okay, so your aunt's child is 18. If your aunt's child is 18, she can file for citizenship. Not citizenship. She can file for their green card. Tell your aunt to call me, 407-995-6567. Let me understand what's going on here. Somebody asked, is it better to petition for a spouse or a fiance? So the answer is it really depends, because for some people, it is not about a timeline of when it will be approved. It's about logically what is going to work for the family. So this is what I always tell people. If you have a fiance, somebody that you're considering marrying out of the country, these are the things that you need to consider. That person working out of the country, how much of a burden is it going to be to you if they're not able to work when they come to the United States because their case is still pending? Okay, because your case could be pending. When you do your 90-day marriage and you file your adjustment of status, your case could still pen for several months. And then also, is that person responsible for supporting their family, back home? Because, a lot of immigrants not only support their children, they support their parents, they support relatives, they support siblings. So if it's going to be financially crippling and as such, cause conflict between you and your spouse before you can even have a happy marriage, you might want to consider filing based on marriage. Because that way, when they come here, they can immediately start working. And then if it doesn't matter to you, you're like, listen, I'm balling out of control, come here, you don't have to work, you don't have to take care of anybody. By all means, file, a fiance visa. And when you file a fiance visa and they come here, make sure you guys get married within 90 days and make sure you don't go marrying somebody else. Because if you go marrying somebody else, then you're not going to be able to get your green card in the United States. Someone said, if you're a green card holder, can you file for your sister? No, you can't. You have to be a U.S. citizen to file for your sister or brother. Somebody said a tax person. I'm assuming that's the question to the ITIN. Yeah, I don't help get ITINs. You want to go to a tax person to help you with that. Somebody says, can you remove conditional residence without filing taxes jointly with your spouse? So the answer, again, in this case is it depends. What is the reason why you're not filing jointly? Are you guys separated? Are you guys having marital problems? Are you filing filing separately because one person has a business or liability? If you don't file jointly, you just want to have a really good explanation for why you're not. Okay. Somebody says, if you're a green card holder, can you file for your adult son? This seems to be a popular question today about filing for adult. Yes, you can. Like I said, as of January, wait time is about 6 months for a visa to be available for them to become green card holders. But it could very well change, but you can definitely file. As long as your child is not here, though, so that they will be eligible. If your child is here, they're going to still require them to go back to their home country to process when that time comes. Let's see. I have some questions. I don't even know how to. Sorry, Instagram. I'm like so horrible on Instagram. Somebody asked, is it true they would give green cards to illegal immigrants who apply? So I hate the word illegal, so I'm not going to call it illegal because nobody is illegal. We're all God's children. So basically, you're saying undocumented immigrants, if that's what you're asking. That's what the pathway proposes. I talked about this earlier. I'm not sure if I'm going to save the Instagram video, but you can always tune into my Facebook once this live is over, where I talked about it. That is what the bill is proposing. Now, are they going to do it? I don't know. Are they going to break it in chunks or make the requirements stringent? We don't know, but it's definitely a proposal. When there's a proposal, we at least know there's something that's going to happen, knock on wood. Let's see. Natalie says, I want to start to file for my minor child. Can I get the contact number? Sure. Our number is 407-995-6567. So all of you can take that note. And it's also on the comment on the ticker on Facebook. And on Instagram, it is on my profile. So you can always click my profile. Somebody says, my document has been filed since September and up until now, and I haven't received nothing about my work permit. Girl, you have time to wait. You just have to be patient. Like work permits are taking like 6 to 8 months. So if you only filed in September, it's only been 4 months. So it's coming, don't worry. Can a green card holder file for a spouse? Yes, you can file for a spouse, but your spouse has to be in status, meaning her visa could not have expired if you're filing for her in the United States. Otherwise, if you do file for her, she has to consular process. Consular process basically means she has to go to her home country and finish the process. Somebody says, can you remove conditional green card without filing jointly with your spouse? Yes, you can, if you can show one of 4 things. 1, that your spouse is deceased and has passed away. 2, that you and your spouse are divorced. 3, you and your spouse, there's been abuse in the marriage or extreme cruelty or battery. And 4, you can show extreme hardship. Extreme hardship is incredibly difficult to win. But if you do fall in one of the other 3 categories, you can definitely do that. But when doing that, you still want to be able to show that you had a bona fide marriage. Okay, guys, let me see. There's another question. Let's see. Okay, so let's see what else I'm missing there. So let's see what else I'm missing. Somebody says, my daughter filed for her citizenship since June of 2020. I haven't gotten any response. I know it's really, really frustrating. It's just such a backlog that, it's not something that's within one's control. One of the ways you can check is you can always, type in USCIS processing times. And then you can then look on if you've gotten a receipt, but say you've not gotten a response. Have you gotten at least a receipt? If you've not gotten a receipt, then I would be concerned that you've not gotten any receipt. But if you've gotten a receipt, on the bottom left, you can see what the processing center is, and then you can check online to see what the average time is taking them to process those cases. Okay, so I want to ask for the number of the office. I think one of my staff just put it in there. Somebody says, I used to travel and the HOLET program. How can I get my green card? I'm not really sure what that means, but I'm not sure what that means. So maybe you can rephrase your question just so I can understand. So somebody says, can an undocumented person get married to a green card holder and that person gets a work permit? So for this, the answer is yes or no. If you're undocumented, and what are you defining as undocumented? Did you cross the border illegally, or did you overstay your I-94? If you are either of the two, you usually file the first part of your application here in the United States. With that process, you're not going to get a work permit. And then you can then ask for forgiveness for you being undocumented or overstaying here. If they approve your forgiveness, you go back home, for your interview, medical and all that stuff. Once you get approved, then you come here with a green card. And obviously, you don't need a work permit with a green card. Now, if you and your spouse are having marital problems and you're undocumented, meaning you crossed the border, you've overstayed your visa, you don't have any kind of documentation, you can get a work permit in 6 months if you qualify based on marital problems that arise to the level of emotional, psychological turmoil, and things of that nature. For those, it's, I need to be able to speak with you and qualify you by asking certain questions to understand the dynamics of your relationship. So if that's you, you can definitely call us 407-995-6567. This person says, it's been about 4 months since I went for my citizenship interview, but I haven't heard from USCIS since then. What can I do? Oh, yeah, that's a long time. How did your interview go for your citizenship? So, that's one of the first things I ask people. One of the things that you might want to do is you might want to do an ombudsman request or get congressional assistance. That's something we help clients with. So you can definitely call me and I can help you try to see what's going on or why you're stuck there since you already had a citizenship interview. And did they recommend you for approval? Do you know? Like, so all those things, you can call me and let me know. Okay, to the United States. This person says, I already filed for my husband to come to the United States, but I've not heard anything from immigration yet. I only got a letter from them saying they got all my paperwork and it's in process. So yeah, it's a waiting game. So the world of immigration, it's not, you don't just send something and it will instantly, this stuff takes time. Just imagine that, Sheba, as you're filing, so many millions of people are filing. So most things have an average timeline. So if you just filed, it takes time, a couple of months to, first of all, get through that portion, them approving you, sending it to the National Visa Center, and then finally, scheduling your interview. So what I'll just say is just try to exercise some patience and try to be positive, and hopefully everything will work out. My ex-wife was filed by her sister and myself, and the kids are on the petition. She was contacted by immigration and awaiting an interview date. Will I still be able to get a green card even though, oh man, your question cut off, so I can't read it. Oh, Derek, I'm so sorry, I can't read your question. It cut off, so you can always, you can call me. Let's see. Okay, guys, let me see if I still have time. Okay, so I have about 13 minutes. Let me just talk, and since we're I wanted to just talk about conditional green card and what they are, because it's still confusing to a lot of people. Conditional green cards are basically the kind of green card that you get if at the time you are approved of a green card, you've been married for under 2 years. So let's say you get married today and you file your petition next week. The odds are that by the time you have your interview and they approve you, it will be under 2 years and you will get a conditional green card, a 2-year green card. So a conditional green card owner, or whatever, yeah, I guess if you have a conditional green card, the rules basically, as far as your benefits, are the same as a green card holder that's permanent, that has a 10-year green card. The only difference is how you remove the conditions versus what happens when your 10-year green card expires. If you have a 2-year green card, you want to at least 90 days before your 2-year expires, you and your spouse, or your parents, depending on how, if you're the child or a spouse, you want to file for removal of condition on your green card. You want to file for removal. And imagine that it's similar to a marriage-based petition. So basically all those things that you had to prove when you filed a marriage-based petition, you're going to need to prove them again. But this time they want you to prove basically from the time they gave you the green card to the time you're filing that you continued a bona fide relationship. So take it seriously. Take it as though, you're in a marriage-based interview. So you still want to be filing taxes. You still want to be acquiring bills together. You still want to cohabitate together. You still want to travel together. You still want people to know you're married. It's not, oh, I got a 2-year green card, deuces, let's get a divorce. Well, unless there are issues while you're getting a divorce. So, you have to do that to remove the condition. If you have a permanent green card, there is no condition. So your green card is permanent. And if you want to, for the rest of your life, you can keep renewing your green card, but obviously, I don't think that's the best solution or decision for most people that just don't want to become citizens, because there are many things that you risk as a green card holder. If you're a green card holder and God forbid you got into any kind of criminal issues, you're facing potential deportation, even though you are a green card holder. So all that changes once you become a US citizen. And then also, you're not going to be able to vote. So for you as an immigrant who can vote people, because remember, voting is not just about the federal election, your local candidates, your congressmen, your senators, like all those people make an impact in the difference between, immigrants, and immigration reform and other things in your community. So if you're a green card holder, you're going to be just sitting by the sidelines. You can talk and yell and scream at the TV all you want, but you're not going to be able to put that, passion into action by voting for the right candidate. So definitely, if you're eligible, as a permanent green card holder after either 3 years based on marriage or 5 years, definitely file for citizenship. And then going back to conditional green card holders, like I mentioned earlier, the only three, I already gave earlier the 4 exceptions. So I gave you guys the 4 exceptions earlier. So just scroll or rewind the video back to the 4 exceptions when you can request for removal of your condition without your other spouse. And then let's see, what else did I want to cover with that? So if, let's say, I'm gonna say, I've lost my train of thoughts actually about the conditional green card, what I was going to say about it. I don't remember what else I was going to say about it, but basically those 4 exceptions are the only time you can remove it without your spouse. And then depending on which one you pick, like, so if it ends up being removed based on extreme cruelty, you don't have to wait 5 years to become a citizen. You can do it in 3 years if they remove your conditions based on extreme cruelty. Somebody says, my friend got a prima facie letter from immigration that said they're eligible for public benefits. Yay, that's great. However, when they applied, they were told they have to be in the state legally for 5 years. I don't understand. Why are they sending out letters? So, Crystal, it depends on what. What was the prima facie for? Was it for VAWA? And then public benefits are very state specific. So it depends on some states, for instance, will allow certain types of public benefits. Financial aid for college. Some states will allow you to get your driver's license. So it's very state specific. So and I'm pretty sure that prima facie says you may be eligible for certain public benefits. So it doesn't say you'll be eligible for all public benefits. So it depends on what your friend applied for. So she might want to check that. Okay. Rochelle says, I appreciate every information you provide to us. I love you and continue to do the good work you're doing. Thank you so much. Oh, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure, to come here and let you guys know everything that's going on. Somebody asked that, can they file for their parent with a green card? No, you need to be a U.S. citizen to file for your parent. And then this is probably going to be the last question that I take. What are the advantages and disadvantages of citizenship through marriage? There's no disadvantage. You become a citizen, point blank, period. So if you're married and you're happy, why not, file for it. All right, guys. Well, I enjoyed today's live. I will see you guys next week, Wednesday. From time to time, I might pop in on unannounced lives, but definitely stay tuned in. If you weren't following me before, follow me, because I post little videos and short bite-sized topics almost every weekday, so you can catch up on all that. If I wasn't able to answer your question, I apologize. You can call my office 407-995-6567, and I'll be able to answer you. All right, guys, have a wonderful Wednesday. Bye.